Hello, welcome back to News of Asha. Today is August 15th, 2023. Let's see what's happening in the world today. Trump advises charged in Georgia for 2020 election overthrow scheme. Former US President Donald Trump was hit with a fourth set of criminal charges when a Georgia grand jury issued a sweeping indictment accusing him of trying to overturn his 2020 election loss to Democrat Joe Biden. The charges, brought late on Monday by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, adds to the legal woes facing Trump, the frontrunner in the race for the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential election. Talk about election meddling by the Democrats. It's ridiculous at this point what is going on and how the courts are being used to go after a single individual that they really can't defeat in the polls. Nobody is actually going to vote for Joe Biden. I don't see any Democrat nominee that seems to fulfill any of the voters' desires. This one-sided grand jury presentation relied on witnesses who harbor their own personal and political interests. Trump lawyers Drew Findling, Jennifer Little, and Marissa Goldberg said in a statement. We look forward to a detailed review of this indictment, which is undoubtedly just as flawed and unconstitutional as this entire process has been, Trump lawyers added. There is so much evidence that Joe Biden had actually done illegal dealings with Ukraine, yet they are going after Trump on charges that don't make sense. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. In a statement before the indictment was released, his campaign accused Willis, an elected Democrat, of being a rabid partisan who was trying to undermine his re-election bid. It is a dangerous effort by the ruling class to suppress the choice of the people, the statement said. Trump has already pleaded not guilty in 3 criminal cases. Trump is due to face a trial in October and a civil case in New York that accuses him and his family business of fraud to obtain better terms for lenders and insurers. Trump's company was fined $1.6 million after being convicted of tax fraud in New York court in December. They're going to throw everything at him, even the kitchen sink. We'll have to see how the electorate actually deals with this circumstance. Institutions have been corrupted to the extent that even if the electorate comes out to try to make a proper vote, it doesn't seem like it's going to make a big difference unless everything is overthrown and rehauled from the bottom up. Typhoon Lan makes landfall in Japan, thousands told to seek safety. Nearly 900 flights in Japan were cancelled and 240,000 people were ordered to move to safety as a slow-moving typhoon made landfall early on Tuesday, cutting off power to tens of thousands of homes. Typhoon Lan, approaching from the Pacific Ocean, made landfall at the southern tip of Wakayama Prefecture, some 400 kilometers southwest of Tokyo, lashing much of the central and western Japan with heavy rain and powerful winds. Authorities issued floods and landslide warnings and some tornadoes formed. Authorities said they had set up evacuation centers in safe buildings and high grounds for residents across 11 prefectures, whom the Fire and Disaster Management Agency told to seek shelter. The storm comes days after Typhoon Kandun hit Japan during its peak Obon holiday season, when many factories closed and city dwellers returned to their hometowns and villages. Typhoon Lan had sustained winds of 150 km per hour and was moving northwest across the west of the main island of Honshu at around 15 km per hour. It was forecast to reach the Sea of Japan by early Wednesday and move north, according to Japan's weather agency. China cuts key rates as weak batch of July data darkens economic outlook. A broad array of Chinese data on Tuesday highlighted intensifying pressure on the economy from multiple fronts, prompting Beijing to cut key policy rates to shore up activity, but analysts say more support is needed to revitalize growth. Less than an hour before the release of a batch of July data, China's central bank unexpectedly cut key policy rates for the second time in 3 months, underlining the rapid loss of the post-COVID economic rebound that has shaken global financial markets. And with financial troubles at developers such as Country Garden likely to weigh on the housing market in the near term, there is a real risk of the economy slipping into a recession unless policy support is ramped up soon. Nomura analysts were equally downbeat on China's economic outlook. We believe the Chinese economy is faced with an imminent downward spiral with the worst yet to come, and the rate cut this morning will be of limited help, they said. We believe the Chinese economy is faced with an imminent downward spiral with the worst yet to come, and the rate cut this morning will be of limited help, they said. Following the rate cuts, China's major state-owned banks were seen selling US dollars and buying yuan in a bid to stem rapid declines in the currency, 3 people with direct knowledge of the matter said. Sovereign bond yields fell to 3 years lows, and benchmark stock indexes were down. Record low credit growth and rising deflation risk in July necessitated more monetary easing measures to arrest the slowdown, market watchers said. while default risk at some housing developers and missed payments by private wealth managers also soured market confidence. The persistent drag in the property sector, mounting local government debt pressure, high youth jobless rate, and cooling foreign demand continue to be major impediments to fostering a sustainable economic revival. China is undergoing a painful transition to a less debt-fueled, less property-centric, and more consumer-driven economy, said Robert Carnell, Asia-Pacific Head of Research at ING. It's going to take a very long time before the people in the country start earning enough money to actually become proper consumers. Unfortunately, if jobless rates for youth and unemployment rate is very high, not many people have the money to spend. And when people don't have the money to spend, how are you going to have consumers? Consumers and people who are consuming. In order to consume, you need money. So if you don't have money, you can't consume. Therefore, trying to move into a consumer economy is not going to be as easy as China would think or China would want it to be. China halts youth jobless data as economy falters. China has stopped releasing youth unemployment figures, which were seen by some as key indication of the country's slowdown. The decision is due to changes in the world's second largest economy and its society, a government spokesperson said. Well, when it comes to talking nonsense, the Chinese government officials are probably the best in the world at doing it. In June, China's jobless rates for 16 to 24-year-olds in urban areas hit a record high of more than 20%. I believe it was more than 25%, but anything that comes out of China, you should just take it with a grain of salt and probably double the official numbers. The suspension of publishing youth unemployment figures immediately started trending on China's social media platform Weibo. One user said, "Covering your mouth and closing your eyes, can that really solve problems? With flexible employment, slow employment, and independent employment, working for just 1 hour means you're not unemployed. Don't take the statistics from the Bureau of Statistics seriously." Last week, China recently reported a sharp fall in exports while the economy slipped into deflation where prices fall. There is a real risk of the economy slipping into a recession unless policy support is ramped up soon, Julian Evans-Pritchard of Capital Economics said in a note to investors. On Monday, China's largest private real estate developer, Country Garden, warned that it could lose up to 7.6 billion for the first 6 months of the year. As one can see, the property market is really declining in China, and this is not going to improve anytime soon. In fact, it's never going to improve due to the simple fact that there are no youth. The birth rate in China is at about 1.2. Therefore, if there are no younger generation and most of the older generation already have homes, then it is unlikely for there to actually be people to buy homes. You need people to buy homes, and if you have less people, then you're going to have less sales. And I don't think anyone is taking this into account, or majority of people, government officials are avoiding and purposely giving a blind eye to the simple fact that you have less people in your population, especially the youth. And with your birth rate at a meager 1.2, there is no way you're going to be able to pick up in the housing market in the long run. Maybe in the short term, maybe with stimulus, yeah, you can boost the market here and there a bit. But in the long run, if you have less people, there's going to be less buyers. That is a simple fact of reality. Please like, share and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much. Japan's economy gets major boost from weak currency. Japan's economy grew much faster than expected in the 3 months to the end of June as the country's weak currency boosted exports. The world's third largest economy saw its gross domestic product (GDP) rise by an annualized 6% in this period. It is about twice the rate of growth forecast by economists and marks the biggest rise in almost 3 years. Japan's currency has fallen sharply against major currencies in recent months and is down by more than 10% versus the US dollar this year. The weak yen is behind the positive GDP numbers, Fujitsu chief economist Martin Schulz told BBC. Japan's economy has also been helped by a rise in tourist numbers after the government lifted border restrictions at the end of April. As of June, the number of foreign visitors to Japan has recovered to more than 70% of pre-pandemic levels, according to the country's National Tourism Authority. According to Marcel Thielent of Capital Economics, the details of the data weren't as impressive as the headlines. He highlighted a number of issues, including a fall in private consumption, which makes up more than half of Japan's economy. Japanese workers have seen their pay go up at the fastest rate in 28 years, but with inflation hovering near a 40-decade high, wages have been falling in real terms for well over a year. So, they've got a pay raise, their pay has gone up, but inflation is much greater than their pay. So, in real terms, they're actually not improving, or they are not actually earning enough. So basically look at it this way, okay? For the simplest example, you earn 1,000 USD, and that 1,000 USD allows you to buy food and pay for your home and shelter. Okay, cool. Now, the following year, you get a raise to 1,100 for the same amount of food and same shelter. Unfortunately, the food and shelter now cost you 1,150. So what does that mean? Even though you got a pay raise, that pay raise does not keep up with the fact that inflation has caused your house and your food to increase much more. So you have to be very careful when you listen to people saying that, oh, these workers have got a pay raise, or this company is giving a pay raise. None of it matters if in real terms, the pay raise does not keep up with inflation. And this is unfortunate thing that is not being taught in schools. And in fact, many adults don't even understand this. When most people get a pay raise, they don't understand why is it, despite having a pay raise and earning more, they still can't afford to live a comfortable life. IBM plans to replace nearly 8,000 jobs with AI. These jobs are the first to go. IBM CEO Arvind Krishna announced a hiring pause in May, but that's not all. Later that month, the CEO also stated the company plans to replace nearly 8,000 jobs with AI. Krishna noted that back office functions, specifically in the human resource sector, will be the first to face these changes. In recent weeks, the company has opened up dozens of positions for AI-based roles to help develop and maintain these systems. The transition will happen gradually over the next few years, with machines potentially taking up to 30% of non-consumer facing roles in the 5 years. This means that workers in finance, accounting, HR, and other areas will likely find themselves facing stiff competition from robots and algorithms. The decision highlights the increasing reliance on automation and artificial intelligence across various sectors and the potential impact on the workforce. It's not the first time the company has made headlines for cutting jobs. Earlier this year, IBM also announced that it would be slashing 3,900 jobs, indicating a larger trend towards automation and cost-cutting measures in the tech industry. While IBM isn't the only tech giant to downsize recently, with layoffs also hitting Meta Platform Inc., Amazon.com Inc., Twitter Inc., and Microsoft Corp., it's clear that AI is rapidly transforming the workforce. The writing has been on the wall for some time, with experts sounding the alarm about AI's potential to replace human workers for decades. This trend has not gone unnoticed by policymakers, with the White House releasing a report in December warning that it's inevitable that some workers will be displaced by AI. Similarly, venture capitalists have been pouring billions into AI as they look to capture the growth in this market. For example, accredited investors have invested millions in startups like Red AI in their ongoing WeFunder campaign. The prospect of mass automation looms large as a new report by Goldman Sachs economists reveals that up to 300 million full-time jobs worldwide could be affected by the latest wave of AI technology, including the likes of ChatGPT. The report suggests that 18% of all work around the globe could potentially be replaced by machines, with the most advanced economies being hit the hardest. The last article of the day, Singapore Central Bank releases a regulatory framework for stablecoins. Singapore Central Bank has released a revised regulatory framework aimed at ensuring stability for single currency stablecoins regulated in the city-state. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, announced the framework on August 15, which is aimed at non-bank issued stablecoins pegged to the value of the Singapore dollar or G10 currencies such as the Euro, British Pound, or the US dollar, and whose circulation exceeds 5 million Singapore dollars. The bank's Financial Supervision Deputy Manager Director Ho Hearn Shin said the framework aims to facilitate stablecoin use as a credible digital medium of exchange and as a bridge between the fiat and digital ecosystem. The Monetary Authority of Singapore MAS announced today the features of a new regulatory framework that seeks to ensure a high degree of value stability for stablecoins regulated in Singapore. The regulatory framework takes into account feedback received following an October 2022 public consultation. Stablecoins are digital payment tokens designed to maintain a constant value against one or more specific fiat currencies. When well regulated to preserve such value stability, stablecoins can serve as a trusted medium of exchange to support innovation, including the on-chain purchase and sales of digital assets. The framework outlines several requirements for stablecoin issuers, including redemption timelines, disclosures, reserve management, and capital requirements per MAS. Value stability, capital, redemption at par, disclosure. MAS noted only stablecoin issuers that fulfill the network's framework requirements can apply to become MAS regulated, a label the central bank says ensures that they can be distinguished from non-regulated stablecoins by users. Well, at least Singapore is trying to do something positive by actually making stablecoins a bit more regulated. Unfortunately, I I don't think people understand that stablecoins is actually a paradoxical irony. Holding a stablecoin for more than a year means you will lose more than 5 to 10% of the value of your stablecoin depending on the inflation of your country and depending on the price of food in your country. If the food in your country has gone up by 20% in price, then clearly your stablecoin has lost 20% of its value. I'm hoping the younger generation will have a better idea thanks to the proliferation of information in the 21st century. Thank you. I'll see you again tomorrow.